Welcome to my channel GIC. Subscribe for daily IELTS listening test.
Now turn to section 1. You will hear two women talking about house cleaning. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3. Listen carefully to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 1 to 3.
Well, Jill, I'm glad you had a nice holiday. We'll have to try it ourselves sometime.
Yes, Kate, you really should. I'll give you a contact number for the hotel we stayed in. Anyway, I must be...
Oh, I know what I meant to ask you. Sorry, it was about a cleaner.
Oh, yes?
Yes, we've been talking about getting somebody to come in and help out. You had a cleaner not long ago, didn't you?
I thought you said having a cleaner was a waste of money, that you'd never pay somebody to do what you can do perfectly well yourself.
Well, yes, maybe, but things have changed. Things are really hectic for Greg at work all of a sudden. He's never home till after 8. I end up doing everything. The house looks like such a mess. I never get time to tidy up before I go out to work, and in the evenings I just about manage to cook and wash up.
Well, you shouldn't be the one doing everything if you're working as well. That's not fair, is it?
I think Greg's just shattered. To be fair, he's pretty domesticated. We've always pretty much shared the chores. It's just a temporary thing, I think. I hope. We're basically both trying to juggle too much. The last thing we want to do at the weekends is start cleaning. We want to relax a bit.
It's not because all the neighbours have got a cleaner, is it?
You know me too well. I guess there is a bit of that. I feel like the poor relation when I tell them I do all the cleaning myself. They can't believe I fit in so much.
Never worry about what other people think.
No. Anyway, one way or another we need a cleaner. Well, as long as it's not too expensive, that is.
I don't think it's expensive, and it's money well spent. We only stopped having Tricia come in every week because I was off work with the baby, so I could do most of it myself.
So how much is it?
Well, Tricia was £8 an hour. I can't say that's what everyone charges.
That isn't bad, is it? It's less than I thought. Oh, well, I think we can run to £8. How many hours did she do?
4 hours a week.
Well, that sounds about right. Can you give me her number then?
Oh, sorry, no. She's not around anymore. She went back to Wales. I think it was Wales anyway, a couple of months ago.
Oh, no. That's a shame.
Wait a minute, though. We've had some leaflets through the door recently. Let me see if I can find one. I put one here by the phone, I'm sure.
You now have some time to look at questions 4 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the conversation and answer questions 4 to 10.
Ah, yes, here we are. It's a company. They're called Dusters.
Dusters?
Yes, as in people who dust. You have to phone Abby on...
Is that Abby with EY?
No, it's ABBY.
OK.
And it's a local number, 650-918.
650-918. OK, got it.
They do ironing and can look after your garden too, apparently.
Ironing would be helpful. I loathe ironing. So, do they say how much it is?
Yes, it's $9.50 an hour. That's for all the different services.
$9.50? A bit more expensive then.
They do a spring clean for £45.
So that's one big clean. Do they say how many hours that is?
No, it just says spring clean. I guess it's 5 hours, so it's a bit cheaper than 5 hours of cleaning would be normally.
Yes, probably. That might be a good idea to start off with.
You'll like this too, Kate. They can use organic products if you want them to.
Oh, yes, I'd prefer that. I don't like using strong chemicals. They're so bad for the environment. OK, I'll give them a call. Thanks for that.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Part 2.
You are going to hear a talk about Bell College.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 17.
Welcome to Bell College. The aims of the college is to foster the growth of international understanding through the provision of a high-standard educational course. Second, the college is based in a residential setting for adult students from abroad. And last is to make a positive contribution to the development of teaching English as a foreign language. Bell College is one of a group of schools run by the Bell Educational Trust, a non-profit-making educational foundation. The college offers an attractive environment for study and leisure for students aged 18 or over. 160 students live in comfortable single and twin study bedrooms on the campus, and a further 70 or 80 with carefully selected local families. The excellent common room facilities in the college are matched by the extensive gardens and sports fields. Superb academic facilities, including a modern learning centre and library and sophisticated computer networks, are available for students' use in class hours and in the evenings and at weekends. A wide range of courses is offered in 3 areas: the main English programme, teacher training, and English for specific purposes. The teaching staff are highly qualified native speakers with wide experience of working in schools, colleges, and universities in many parts of the world. Living in an international community of 30 or more nationalities is an important part of the Bell College experience.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 18 to 20.
the main English program, teacher training, and English for specific purposes. The teaching staff are highly qualified native speakers with wide experience of working in schools, colleges, and universities in many parts of the world. Living in an international community of 30 or more nationalities is an important part of the Bell College experience. Great stress is laid on pastoral care, and the college has its own medical centre. A busy and interesting programme of sporting, cultural and social activities is provided in the evenings and at weekends, with excursions to many parts of Britain.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answer.
Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear a conversation between two university students about transferring to a different course.
Now you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hi, Graham. How are you doing?
Hi, Judy. I'm fine, thanks. And thanks for popping round. I was hoping I could pick your brains about transferring to another course.
Yes, I remember you saying you wanted to do something else. Are you planning on staying here, or are you looking to go to a different university?
No, I'm happy to stay here. I just feel I need to do something else. How did you go about your transfer? You did History of Art originally, didn't you?
That was the course I initially wanted to transfer to. I'd studied art at college and wanted to continue, but my parents persuaded me that English would be more useful, so I took their advice. But I really didn't enjoy it and tried to transfer to History of Art, but the course was full. Anyway, I spoke with the course tutors and they told me about the fine art programme. They thought I had the talent to do it, so that was that.
I see. How did your parents take the news?
They were okay about it, really. They just want me to do what I enjoy, so everything's fine there. So you're hoping to transfer as well, then?
Yes, I think I've given the German course a good try, but I'm not really happy. Most of the other students on the course seem to have at least one German parent, or they've spent a great deal of time in Germany, so their German is much better than mine. We get huge novels to read, and I'm still struggling with the first chapter while they're already finished and writing their assignments. I thought about doing a combined degree, German with another course, as the workload would be less, but in the end, I feel a complete change would be best. One of my other subjects at school was history, and I realise now I'm actually more interested in that. One of my housemates is doing history, and it sounds like a great degree, so I've decided to focus on that.
Well, people do transfer, so it's not out of the ordinary. But won't you miss the opportunity to study abroad for a year? You spend year 3 in Germany, don't you?
I know. Not only Germany, actually. You have a choice of Germany, Switzerland or Austria. That would be exciting, I know, but that's really the only thing I like about the course. And I can always do some travelling after I've finished my studies. I still don't know what I want to do as far as a career is concerned, so I think it's best I study something I enjoy first and foremost. Anyway, I thought I'd ask you about how you went about your transfer before taking it any further.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30.
Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Well, the first thing you have to do is make sure you're clear in your own mind why you want to transfer. You'll need to persuade people that it's a good idea, so get your arguments clear. Then, I'm sure you've already done this, but check what the entry requirements are for history and whether you've got the necessary qualifications. They might be more flexible now you're actually here, but you need to show them you'd be able to keep up with your studies.
Well, I've got history qualifications, so I'm hoping that won't be a problem. Who do I have to speak to?
Well, they always tell you to speak with your course tutor first, in case there's a way of making the course you're on more appealing to you. But it sounds like you've definitely decided to get out, so I'd go to the careers service next, just to make sure there aren't any restrictions on transferring. It shouldn't be a problem, but it's best to check first. And then there's your funding. I'm no expert, but I would imagine this won't be a problem. German's a 4-year course and history is 3, so you could just start from year 1 next September. If the careers service think it's okay and there are no funding problems, go and speak to the admissions tutor in the history department, just to see if they're happy with your qualifications and if there are places.
OK. Well, I'm hoping it'll be OK. I'm planning to transfer at the beginning of next year rather than halfway through this year.
Yes, hopefully it'll be all right. If they accept you, it's pretty straightforward after that. It's not like you're going to another university. You just have to complete a form. I think it's called an internal transfer form. Your current head of department and the one for the course you're transferring to have to add their signature as well, and that's it.
Well, thanks for that, Judy. I'd better start making my case for transferring, I suppose.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 4.
You will hear part of a lecture about the school calendar. Listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
So, having seen that the 6-term system has passed the test of cost-effectiveness, we can move on to the educational aspects of this arrangement. Firstly, all the terms would be approximately the same length. Instead of terms up to 13 weeks, which we have now, there could be a repeating pattern of 7 weeks of term time plus 2 weeks of vacation. This would be repeated 6 times per year. How does this affect the effectiveness of the educational provision? The most noticeable result would be that the very long summer holiday would be reduced in length. This byproduct of the 6-term system could be beneficial. There's plenty of evidence of huge learning loss by pupils during the summer holidays. By learning loss, we mean the amount that pupils forget or lose during a holiday break. Ashley carried out a number of analyses which showed this conclusively. He investigated 39 studies examining the effects of summer holidays on standardized test scores. His analyses indicated that summer learning loss equaled 2 weeks to 7 weeks of instruction. On average, children's test scores were 3 weeks lower than when they left school in the previous term. He also found differences in the learning loss effect according to subject. The subjects he analysed were reading, writing and maths, and he found that the effect was greatest in maths and reading. Furthermore, although all social groups experienced roughly similar learning loss in the field of maths, the studies found that disadvantaged children showed even greater losses in reading skills. So, the problem of learning loss in traditional schools is clear. However, the results of studies into the 6-term system and learning loss are ambiguous. Marchmont found that pupils in six-term schools maintained their test scores after the shorter holiday period. This is certainly an improvement on the traditional system where, as we have seen, pupils perform worse after the summer break. Benson, however, found no differences between those in traditional schools and on the six-term schedule. It would seem reasonable that if long holidays result in learning loss, then shorter holidays should result in less learning loss. So we await the outcome of further studies. Historically, of course, everyone knows the reason for our system of 3 terms per year. In days when agriculture was of much greater importance in our working lives, it was essential that the children helped with the harvest. Later on, this changed, and more people moved into the towns. But then there was a new problem. Before air conditioning, it was very impractical to try to teach children in the summer months. Nowadays, that's no longer a barrier. One way of providing something different is the summer school. Here, there is a completely different kind of educational provision. Cooper and others investigated 93 summer schools and the results they achieved. They all had a positive effect on learning. Most summer schools, of course, have small classes, and class size was shown to have a positive effect. Additionally, summer school children usually benefit from a great deal of parental support, not least because payment of fees is involved, and this, as so often, was shown to produce very good outcomes. Results were most impressive, in maths in general.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel.